Greetings to you out there and here and everywhere. I'm your host, Majesty, and this is another session of Majesty Music Lesson. Hope you're feeling airy and everything is evolving in a positive manner. Well, greetings once again. We're here another Sunday in the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, dealing with issues concerning the African population and the population of Guyana, which includes Indians and Amerindians. So for Guyana to be fixed, the African population has to be in order. And this is what I had been dealing with previously from 2003 to 2007, and then again from 2014, before prorogation, before elections, before change of government. So I stand predominant because I'm not here because of anything other than the fact that up to 2014, African people were in the same position that they were in 98 when I returned to this country. And are basically still in this capitalist-oriented economy today. Now, who are African people? Because who people see you are, that's the way they will treat you. Now, if they see a dog running there, they might just chase him away if it's not their dog. So you got to know who you are, because people treat you according to who you are. There was a time when Chinese people were insulted, just like African people, and called all kind of names. As you saw in the Bruce Lee movie, I think it's, what's it? Fist of Fury. When he went by some foreign embassy, that embassy had some Sikh guards, and that's nothing to say about Sikh. It's just about people from every form of religion or nation work for people who are negative, insultive, wicked. It happens all over. But anyway, they were taught that, or told as guards, that the Chinese must not come in. So when Bruce Lee got to go in, he didn't know where it was. He was just going through the gate. And he was told, no, you can't enter. And you want to know why? And he said, oh, you really want to enter? Crawl like a dog. The world is not the nice world that people who they lock run and get control of wealth operate. That's not the world. The majority of the people in the world are in poverty. So the world has this wonderful situation. It's an illusion created by the media, where statistics are not put to the front, or you're given false statistics. And you make believe by Hollywood, etc., and the cities of the countries that the majority of people, or at least half, are having a wonderful time. No, that's not the case. But there's the illusion. For example, Venezuela. During the years before, when Venezuela had problems with us in the 60s, no one knew of Venezuela having poor people. Venezuela was just this powerful country with the Air Force, everything. But we didn't know who was running it. We thought it was the whole nation. Which if a nation's at war, everyone's at war, including the poor people. But after, when the socialists come to power, then is when you know Venezuela has millions and millions of poor people. The oil wealth never reached them, never. They lived in insanitary conditions on the hillsides. And that's why you'd wonder, wait, how come when there's a landslide, so many people die? Because you're living in unconscious surroundings. There's no roads there. It's pathways on a mountainside where people are digging and building, and there's no proper foundation. So when the mountainside gets soaked, anything happens, right? So, African people, who are you and where are you? It's a serious propaganda machine that is out there that makes the world look as if the world is prospering for everyone or most people, and that's not the case. But my consciousness is to know where African people are, because I'm an African. It's logical. People are not even treated as if they have any intellect. And this is because of the power imbalance. Because people speak from power, like I was speaking about wealth. Those who have the power of wealth speak differently to people who don't. The people who control the whole system are people with wealth. If you see a newspaper, it's not a poor man controlling that. If you see an insurance company, it's not a poor man controlling that. If you see a large business, it's not a poor man controlling that. If you see big hotels, it's not a poor man controlling that. So, what happens is that the rest of the people are made to believe this is all for them. And it's a make-believe, because it's not for you. It's to make money off of you. And this is why Guyana became a socialist country. Because the majority of people were poor at independence 50 years ago. Not in Guyana alone, but all over the world. Because those countries who were seeking independence is because they were under colonialism for centuries, in most cases, like Guyana and the rest of the Caribbean. So, the system in place that runs the world, is it for African people? That's the question. The world has gone ahead. Those who run the system run it on their own behalf. Europeans run it on their own behalf. Chinese run it on their own behalf. Indians run it on their own behalf for the most part. How you distribute the wealth, that's another matter. But recently, a system called globalization, which is what African people were under all the time without realizing it, because it was a global system. It's the same people who ran slavery who brought in globalization, which people don't understand is the enslavement of all the countries. And that's how they get back enslaving actually all the people, by enslaving all the countries. And only those who are able to resist are able to save their people from that marginalization, like the Chinese. And that's why the Chinese are basically the only ones who can say they brought millions out of poverty. We found that people, very few people are coming out of poverty. They might have material commodities, but it's more to take their money than anything else. You can have a car, but if it's them making money, you're spending money. So having a car, you have to maintain it. There's parts, there's tires, there's everything else. So it's not as straightforward as people say or think. That's why many people run the car higher, trying to make some money back, because the parts and everything else is controlled by the bigger businessmen who bring it in and distribute it to smaller distributing outlets, right? Owned by the next state of businessmen, wealth-wise. In other words, the whole system is set, and you're either in the right position or you're not. Now, we are African people from since independence, which is not what is discussed in this country by African people. Well, it is done in passing at certain African forums, but there is no real intellectual body that deals with the people. It's really an individualistic point that African people are still at. As a matter of fact, they were more together at independence. They were plenty more together at independence. But today, they have fallen away into individualism. And it has to have a reason. And this is the point I'm getting at. Who are African people? What is our intellect? Where are we going? Where did we come from? Or are we just dealing with hope and faith? Capitalism does not run with hope and faith. It runs with mathematics. Now, I have tried listening to African people telling about capitalism, but most of them miss the boat. And they can't row with me for saying that, because I know they did not make that system. And in other words, what I'm saying, African people, most African intellectuals do not even understand the white man's capitalist system and how it works. Because it doesn't work as simple as people make it out to be. They have so much control over it. People pretend that it is not so, because they have no choice than continue where they are stuck, because it is stuck. It's like an albatross around our neck. Like the Westminster multi-party system. it is enforced by a power, which is a power of evil. African people want to shut it off. Why they can't shut it off? They mean African people are powerless. Even though Castro didn't shut it off, he resisted it all the way through. And that's to show you how much force is exerted by this system on the world. Because while he resisting, other peoples are folding. So a real socialist community was never really established. As a matter of fact, capitalism has so much control, or imperialism has so much control of the world that you can't help dealing with them. And remember, it's in all the African countries because they were all colonized. So people try to say they can run capitalism, but I know they can't because people control it. No one speaks of the control, but it is directly controlled by a money power. I have listened to documentaries where presidents of America, now one president, presidents of America are speaking of the money power. Lincoln was one, and I think Eisenhower was another one. Then there's Andrew Jackson, I think it was. They said the bankers tried to assassinate him because he was trying to stop them from controlling the central bank of America. So I'm telling you, there's a money, an evil money power that long before you were born made moves to control banking in every part of the world by associating with ones who are willing or ensuring that the willing ones get in power if someone is resisting them, even in America. That's why Lincoln had said he trembled for his country, Abraham Lincoln. But these things, these knowledge, because of the control of this money power of actually almost all the assets in America, the big assets, whether it is media, film industry, Hollywood, the networks, the newspapers, the banking, the insurance, the world trade, all of these things. They control them. Now, they control the price of commodities. That's how they could make any commodity fall. So people who think third world countries, who think they can run capitalism, they have not learned for the 50 years of their existence. Now, for example, look Venezuela. Venezuela has oil. Venezuela is still producing oil. But the price of oil has gone down so low. All that it was doing before was cut down to less than half. Because on the world market, the price was dropped. Who dropped it? They tell you it's a free market. It is not a free market. It is not an open market. It is controlled by gangsters who exercise gangsterism. and monopoly. And this is why it was brought down. OPEC is not in charge of pricing anymore. You barely hear the name a week ago or so. After what, how many years? I don't know when last year about OPEC. Not since 2001 after the World Trade Center. Right? But they probably were having meetings. I saw a meeting with Gaddafi and the Arab countries. I know if it was an OPEC meeting, but it most sounded like an Arab countries meeting, where he's telling them about how they hang Saddam. The Western people hang Saddam. The world is an ethnic world for those who don't know still and keep pretending that there's an international community. There's no international community. Who want to fool themselves, that is their business. But I, as an intelligent African, is always willing to challenge anyone who would like to see that what I speak is nonsense. Publicly, and come with your facts and willing to debate. For this is what the Constitution calls for. There are only, well, little interviews on TV, but there is no real debating in this country other than between the PENC and the PPP. And really, we are in this position because both the PNC and the PPP failed us. It's the PNC and the PPP alone that has been running this country. Now, the AFC was formed by Chapman from the PNC and Rambutan from the PPP. So we're still in PNC and PPP. Now, how did we get here? There hasn't been no real debate. You just hear this side accusing that side and that side accusing that side. But the intellectuals in Guyana, everybody plays smart. And Guyana has turned a very dishonest place with dishonest reason, and this is why we're in this position. Now, the only future we can look to is a glorious future, because right now we're at the bottom of the barrel. And I'm talking about Guyana. Our population, we still have the same population, 750,000 or thereabouts. No one ever said we're reaching it. And the last census is somewhere around that, still 7 or something, I think, 1,000. And our prison population has doubled. That tell you. Simple statistics show me everything. I don't got to go in deep thinking. Our suicide population, our prison population has gone up. Georgetown prison used to have space. It's we're in charge of our policies, But this is one of the most egotistical countries. Or maybe the Times is egotistical, more egotistical than anything else. And people love to pretend they got it right. And as time passes, then you see they got it wrong. Just like the people with Burnham, they all thought they had it right. But time always tells. That's why I'm always serious when I'm talking about future. Because I had sense at 11 years old. I'm telling you this. Guyana was a very intelligent place. My teachers were very intelligent and cultured. And you see, African people were a cultural people. We had a very small section of wayward people. And you could have pointed out the places where they were. Agriculture was no bad place. They had 3 places where basically they say they had thieves would gather and live there because it suited them, which is like a small section of Tiger Bay. Like, that's a small, just like 2 streets. And I know at one time when that had changed very, very much during the 70s and the 80s. During the 70s into the 80s. And there is not even like it was before. It had more activity then. Now, it's a little bit of thing because I go through there. It's here and there you hear somebody snatch something or something run through. Much doesn't go on in Tiger Bay. I can tell you that because I've been going through there for the last 5 years. The other place was, the main place was Albrighton. We say a lot of thieves lived there from the Europeans' time. And maybe East Rumville, Warlock area. That's about it. African people never had many people stealing and... Now, you can't pinpoint anywhere. All around, thieves have spread. Why? We were a cultural people. That's why I say, who are we? We are people who are now under the money power. But we're not conscious. All these things are in the Bible. About what's going to happen. But African people do not study who they are. It wasn't in school, but it was part of our history. Coming independence, etc. Not here alone, but all over Africa because we were interested in what happened to African people. Every part of the world we knew understand what went on in America with the civil rights struggle. We knew what went on in Africa. We were part and parcel. Now, we don't know nothing about our African brothers anywhere. But why? We don't even know about ourselves now. But why? What has taken over us? For those who are unconscious, I am. Because I became Rastafari. To my Ethiopian consciousness, to my Ethiopian thinking of having a head which is confirmed in the Bible of there being places that are specific. Egypt, Ethiopia. Princes shall come out of Egypt, Ethiopia shall set foot unto the Almighty. Beyond the rivers of Ethiopia. So many things in the Bible about Ethiopia. So, when you check, then you see. If you play big boy and arrogant and ignorant, you do not learn. Days will pass, weeks will pass, months will pass, years will pass, and you will not learn nothing. An idiot is someone who does not learn or refuses to learn. Well, you can't say does not learn. He refuses to learn. Because things come in front of you whether you like it or not. Words come to your ears, reasoning come to your ears, things come to your eyes. whether you like it or not. No one can escape knowledge. I got time with that. An idiot is someone who does not learn, who refuses to learn. So this is the state we are at. We stop learning anything about ourselves. It's as if, since we come out of colonialism, we found ourselves and that's it. We're free. But if we're free, how come we're not owning and controlling our resources? When we were told, as Guyanese, own and control your resources. I could remember all the policies, you know. You see things that make sense, my brain notes it, my computer puts it in. Things that make sense. Things that add into me. Yeah. Somebody tell you own and control your resources. Well, that's power. Because a man must have power. So the question I'm dealing with is, how come African people so powerless? But they have leaders. I don't want you to have the power and giving me the power. When I want the power, then I gotta come and ask you for the power. No, that's not the way it's supposed to be. I gotta have my own power. For if you fall down now, where are you gonna get my power from? It's not the will of the Father. This is why a wise man told us, own and control your resources. It is collectively and individually and collectively. And in Guyana, we were blessed with resources. So, what we still, I know I was on intelligence before the government changed. Is that intelligence just to throw away? Sense never throw away. That's why the Father in the reasoning in the scripture is remind you about your forefathers. Examples, because the greatest teaching is by examples. And this is our problem. Now, African people is not controlling the resources. Why? It means we don't understand capitalism. Because we transferred from a socialist economy where the government set the elements of the state in favor, or the arms of the state in favor of the people. Where the people then had to, being so poor, have to go and start everything from zero. The government made things available, starting from free education, and also land to the tiller, and also an agri-bank where tillers, farmers can go and get loans. First, by just ensuring that they can show, this is what I did already. I want to go to the next step. And most likely, the bank official who will visit your work, call it your factory, your farm is your factory, you're producing, your farming factory, and see, this person here has great ideas, they're willing, yeah, we could lend them some money. So, this is the problem right now. African people cannot move by magic. Individualism does not work. America is a collective economy. England is a collective economy. It has head. Regardless of Guyana has a head, African people have to have head. Business head. And people who failed before don't really understand it today. Unless they learned. Now, do we understand how capitalism works? People talking about what they're doing. But how are they able to do what they do? And this is what was never explained to poor people. They always tell you to pull up by your bootstraps. That is not how capitalism functions. Capitalism functions through funding. No, didn't they tell you this? You gotta get funding. All you see going on happens through funding. Don't let no one fool you. They're not going in their pocket and their bank account. I have to fund this program. Else it will never happen. Everything is funded. If you see a hotel going up, you see a building going up because it's funded. Either family get together and fund it, or they get loan from somewhere or other, or whatever, they get funding. We were not taught capitalism by that's why I say PNC and PPP fail. And you see, the problem is capitalism does not cater for everyone. When someone gets, they see the other person as a rival. So that's why socialism was the thing to make us strong. This is what rose China, collective work. And when it reached to the stage that it could send out ambassadors, the same thing the Catholic Church did, using the money that it collected from the people. They sent out kings and the Catholic, with the sanction of the Catholic Church, sent out Columbus and Vasco da Gama and this one and that one and that one. They were funded. The first set of business were run by the kings and the Catholic Church. And this is our problem in black society. We do not have a bank. So the people who want to run black society, and I've been telling this for the longest while, that Burnham will 5-6 banks, including Bank of Guyana, how African people do not have a bank. From since I came in 98, because people were talking against Burnham at that time, as if it was his fault. The African people did not prosper. But when a man like me, who was a student under intelligent teachers, speak, they can't say that because I couldn't remember everything that went on. Because everything was made public. But people were watching Burnham and envied his position. But it was never supposed to be about Burnham. It was supposed to be about the African people and the Amerindian people and the Indian people and everyone in Guyana, owning and controlling the resources, because the words were put out to everyone. Free education was to everyone. Free authorization to everyone. Land to the tiller was to everyone. And this is the policies that we need still, because the people were wrong. It wasn't for Burnham. The land wasn't for Burnham. Land for the tiller wasn't for Burnham. Free education wasn't for Burnham. Free authorization wasn't for Burnham. People fight down all the policies that was for the people. Just because they want to fight burnout. And the thing is, Mr. Haidt was misled. Because it has always been a battle. Economy is a battle. Till now, people saying it's a battle. All over the world, it's a battle. That's how you can prove my point. People think they can run capitalism, but capitalism is run by the people who created it, who run it, who administer it, who print the dollar and give it its power and fight any currency that tries to overtake it. With military actions, the strongest military power in the earth. The same money, people have control of that military, which is the American military. They control it through funding, because they control the funding. Now, if Europeans know to run capitalism, how come Ireland fall, Spain fall, this one been in trouble the other day, the one gone down, this one come back, the one gone down. And they're supposed to be first world countries. America went down because the private people control the money. They didn't go down, but the country went down. And the country had to borrow more money from them. And get it from the people and pay them back. Cut off social service, whatever, and get them a whole next setup. Because they keep ahead of the whole world operation by having more money than everyone. So, the system that they bring in of budgets and this and that, these things are just games that they play. In the system of insurance, in the system of this, it has nothing to do with feed, clothes, house. It has to do with taking money from the people. Because it is funding. If the government saying that taxes is for funding, how the people gonna live? The people gotta get funding. Well, you see, it's a one-side power that the white man created. That's why my former teacher, Mr. C.O. Perry, said the problem is with the Constitution and the people not having any power to even control the failure. Now, look at the failure that we're coming from. And people want you to accept what they see. 23 years PPP was there. They talk everything powerful. But look what went on. Look the slackness that went on. NIS money, this money, that money, the other money. And where are the people? So now somebody got to come and correct that. That's why this system, Westminster multi-party system, is a total, absolutely failure for the people. The only people it's successful for are the government and opposition, who it caters to pay them money all the time, when they're in power or when they're out of power. They get paid. Guaranteed pay. Is the people set that up? The people never set up that system. So, 2020, by then, Guyana has to have changes in its system. So, what will anybody say if they're saying PPP going again? You could say, you want to say something? Ring and say it after. The motto of Majesty School of Thinking is an ounce of prevention is better than a whole pound of cure. Because a pound of cure is a whole heap of waste of time, energy, and money for sure. And that's what we're dealing with now. That's why I was speaking since before 2001 election, 2000 I was on air in Channel 9, and 2001 after election I was still on air. That we needed a referendum to decide which way we're going. Are we going to continue this game to the next election? And then we can see if PPP can go back in, or PNC, IFC can go back in. You still want to play the game? For whose benefit? The people? We don't have intellectual reason in this country of any serious nature dealing with the direct issues. The political parties controlling the system, and the people are powerless, and the so-called intellectuals go along with the system. Because who speak is who get in. That's all. Well, I've come to the end of another program, and I just want to give a shout out to my brother. We call him Ras Killer, like Killer Miller, who is a little ill, and we were supposed to have an IQ today. I didn't get to go due to the weather. I hope it came off okay. But we're just wishing him recovery and strength, and hope everything works out to the will of the Almighty. My understanding is that it has something to do with cancer, and that's a big problem all over the world, following the Europeans and eating what they eat. And like I said the last time, all three religions in Ethiopia do not eat pork. Muslims, Christians, or Jews in Ethiopia do not eat pork. But in the Western Christian society, you can eat all the pork you want. So we are a culturally different people. But now we're drinking alcohol and smoking cigarettes because Europeans say that's good. But who make the money? They do. So are we going to get smart? Or are we going to think we're not as sensible as Europeans? That they can tell us what to eat, drink, and smoke. And for those who talk about smoke, they got to read Revelation to know about the incense pot, that is where the Almighty is. And the incense, the smoke of the incense went up with the prayers. This is what marijuana smoke is all about. This is our incense. We call it Aishens, Sensi. We're enough followers. Thanks to Safe TV, thanks to Brother Dominic. I'll see you in the next 2 weeks. Mathematics runs the world, and the Almighty made life wonderful. And we used to work up to 5 o'clock. That's the next point I would have to make, to let you know where we are now. We're now working up to 5 and then going to the park and have sports. Part of our life has gone under capitalism, slavery. See you in the next 2 weeks.